Hello. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, y'all. Stoked to be here. My name is Justin Moore. I'm the founder of Creator Wizard. For those of you guys who do not know me, if this is your first time here, so happy to have you. Please drop it in the chat where you're tuning in from. I am live on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, my private Facebook group, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it. And I'm stoked to be here today to talk all about how to turn no into, well, what are your rates? Because I think that's something that we can all relate with, right? That we've all been kind of shot down at one point or another in our lives from a brand. Let me open up the IG chat here so I can see who's tuning in there. What's up, Bree? Thanks for tuning in. We got Brianna, glad to be here. We got Renee from New York. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Before we get, I have a few things I want to talk about first about this topic about how to turn no into what are your rates. But if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. Happy to answer those as well. Hey, D, we got D and fam in the house as well. So the first thing I wanted to, basically the easiest way to turn no into what are your rates is to remember that it's your job to help the brand understand why they should pay you. So what most creators do, in my experience, is they either just send them their rate card or they say, I'm only focusing on paid partnerships right now. And then the door is closed. And you've done nothing to illustrate to the brand what you're going to bring to the table and how it's going to benefit their brand. And I think that's a very big issue when you essentially look at this as like, okay, I just don't want to deal with this. I'm just going to tell them I'm only doing paid stuff right now. And then they close the door, because when you close the door is closed. That sounds weird to say, but it's like truly like you have a lot of power for whether you shove your foot in that door and do not let it close. Okay. Elevated Alexander, Ivana Beauty, Saba's Corner, Mila, thanks for tuning in. We've got Ashley as well. And so I want to give you a little word of the day here. Okay. And the word of the day that I love using is pivot. Okay. You do not take no for an answer. Okay. If a brand says, well, hey, we're not working, on any paid influencer campaigns right now, you say, oh, great to know. And then in the background, you're doing a little bit of research here, looking at evaluating their social presence. And you say, hey, I noticed that you don't currently have an active YouTube presence for your skincare brand. Have you ever considered creating a series where people have honest conversations about their challenges that they've experienced with their skin throughout their life? I will create the series and interview other creators for you. Hey, also, by the way, we can turn those episodes into a podcast for you. It's going to be $5,000 a month. What do you think? Do you see how like, like quickly I pivoted that into something that had nothing to do with what you pitched initially or what the brand, they wanted to like send you a free product, right? Like one of my favorite like truisms, I think, when it comes to working with brands is that you are not limited by what the brand is asking you. And if the first thing that you pitch there is not resonating with them, pivot to something else. Another thing, another pet peeve. Simply Christian, thanks for tuning in. Simone, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Fernanda says all my girls are here. What's up? Yeah, we got the crew. What's up, Marcus? So the other thing is, this might be a rather controversial take. Stop sending brands your media kit. Say what? Record scratch. Yes, stop sending brands your media kit if they are not asking you for that. Creators love using like templates, right? And they love like kind of fitting brands into their little boxes of how they work with brands. Like, hey, here's a package of one TikTok and one Instagram and, one Instagram in-feed post and one YouTube and one set of stories. What if the brand doesn't care about any of that stuff? Maybe they don't even have a presence on those platforms. Right? You're basically telling them that the only way that you can work with me is if you conform to these things I'm offering you. Does that feel good to the brand in any way? No, especially if they're already like teetering on the edge of whether they should even pay you or not. Right? So it's your job to craft a proposal that serves the brand and it helps them accomplish some sort of business objective. And then they'll finally understand why paying you makes sense. I know I talk about this a lot, but I'm going to just continue to hammer it, because I guarantee you that this is going to come up and this is going to work for you eventually. If you just continue to kind of twist your mind and really accept this, that it's not just about how you can talk about the brand on your platforms. Sandra in the chat said, "Hey, Justin, I caught you live again. I'm not a YouTuber, but I take some of the principles you teach and apply it to my profession." So stoked to hear that. So stoked to hear that that's helpful. Yeah, Bree in the chat says, "Very true, very true." Maria does that. Buenos dias from ATX. That's Austin, right? Thanks for tuning in. David Nelson is tuning in as well. Marcus in the chat said, "In the last few weeks, I've gotten really good responses from sending brands a screenshot from my Amazon influencer dashboard to show that my videos convert. Love it." Like we talked about this actually, Marcus. A lot of people have asked just about this confidence issue around metrics. Is like, I don't think my metrics are very good. I'm not converting very well. I don't have great views or engagement or whatever. And like one of my favorite things to do is lean into it. The numbers are the numbers. You can't do anything about them. Like there's no reason to hide from that, right? If you send a brand your metrics and they are going to say to you like, "Oh, well, this isn't great." That's just reality. Like they would never, if that's really what was most important to them, they would never have worked with you anyway. Right. So it's like, there's no reason. And then by the same token, there's brands, like you said, there's brands that you send your data to and they're stoked about it. Right? So there's no reason to just be shy about this or fearful. Lean into it. Because you are the creator who is leaning into it. There's all these other creators who aren't confident about it. And you'd be like, "Yeah, these are my numbers. I'm stoked about where I'm at right now. Would love to partner with you." Kind of take it or leave it. You don't say take it or leave it, but like that's kind of the attitude. Because the numbers are the numbers. Dean Fam says, "I only send a media kit if the brand asks, and it's always followed by screenshots of how brand and my audience align." Exactly, D. I've had a lot of creators ask, like, do I need a media kit? Like, is that something that's like important to me? And so the advice that I always give is the action of creating a media kit is the most important part of that. Probably less than 10%, maybe even less than 5% of creators or of brands or agencies that have reached out to my wife and I, over the last year or so have actually asked for media kits, is like right out the gates, like, "Hey, send us your media kit," right? So it's not something that it's like required. We get lots and lots of deals, and the brand or the agency has never asked us for our media kit. Because why? Because our platforms serve as our portfolio. Yeah, we have lots of great case studies and lots of great testimonials, and we definitely have that as an ace in our sleeve during the negotiation, right? That we can actually use as to be like, "Oh, by the way, maybe it's like a point where the negotiation is stalled, or like, the interplay with the brand is stalled." We use that as a value creating reason to reach out, obviously. But again, it's not what we lead with. And so the act of actually creating the media kit can be clarifying, because then you have to sit and think like, "Okay, well, yeah, what is my niche? Who am I? What is who am I serving?" If a brand were to partner with me, one of my favorite tips, I've actually done quite a few one-on-one consulting calls recently. And inevitably all creators are always wanting me to kind of take a look at their media kit, how they're portraying themselves and stuff like that. And here's a free 99 thing that I charge $1,000 an hour for my consulting. So I'm going to give you something for free 99 here, which is that one of the easiest things you can do with your media kit is take all creators, their second page is like about me. It's like, "Hi, this," and even we have had this in the past, right? Where it's like, even you say, "Hey, this is who I am. This is my demographics. These are the brands I've worked with." That should not be page 2. We've actually made that mistake in the past, right? What's actually most interesting to brands is case studies and testimonials. That should be page 2. Your about me section should be at the end in the appendix, basically, because really at the end of the day, that's what the brand cares about. Is they care about who you've worked with, how you've helped them achieve results. All this other stuff about, your bio and like, information about yourself, like, yeah, that's interesting. You should have it in there. But at the end of the day, that's not what's most interesting to a brand. It's like, how have you helped other brands achieve success? Right? Ashley said in the chat, I've only had one brand ask me for a media kit ever. Right? Ever. And Stag Fitness said the good news is that YouTube have rolled out really great looking media kit, YouTube official media kits now to a few creators now, and we'll be rolling them out to a wider audience soon. Yes, great point. I just saw that article a couple weeks ago. You're exactly right. Yeah, Brianna says that's awesome. Yeah. So it's like, if you are on YouTube, like YouTube is making strides to like help make that a little bit easier. Yeah, and Marcus says, tens of thousands, going back to the whole metrics thing, tens of thousands of dollars in sales are hard to argue with. Right? 100% about what's in it for them. Yeah. And this week I got the first email asking me to make specifically an Amazon video. Congrats, Marcus. There we go. Love to hear it. There was a question in the IG chat, which from Bree that I want to see. Any idea what's going on with Reels views? I have that noted in my media kit, and now they all say 0. Bree, I think that's probably a glitch if they are saying 0. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why that would be. Usually I've had issues in the past where videos are glitching and like views are showing weird amounts. Like I had that on my TikTok, and that was actually affecting a lot of people where it was just like everything was saying 0 or just like not serving to on the For You page or to your audiences or something. So it may be something similar to that. I'm not sure specifically what's going on with Reels, but yeah, that would be my thought. The other thing too here, explain to me, Bree, in the chat, when you say that you have that noted in your media kit of like how many Reels views you get. Can you clarify that for me about what you're talking about? Because I'm curious, like why you're actually, are you saying like, oh, total like 1 million views on Reels, or like how are you? I'm just kind of curious how you're positioning that, because that's not really something that I'm familiar with. Yeah, curious. Renee in the chat said I had the same problem with my Reels. So yeah, so maybe it is something similar to that. I have weird things happen sometimes where I like will post a reel and it'll just say like 0 views, like just like randomly sometimes. And I think, oh, but did I say something like that was like, I got shadow banned or something for that video because I said something wrong. I don't know. So yeah, sometimes Reels is weird. I don't know how to interpret that. So anyways, if you want to clarify that in the chat, let me know. Ashton Home says, when you pitch to brands, should you send a case study with the initial pitch? So my advice about this particular thing, Ash and Home, is your first pitch should always be just about the brand. It should be tailored and catering to a particular marketing campaign that the brand is running or an objective that you've discerned from social media that, will resonate with them. And so sending them a case study from another brand can be perhaps a second step when you're trying to actually follow up with them if they haven't responded, or if they do act interested and say, hey, send me some examples of past partnerships. That would be a better time to actually pitch a different brand. You can potentially work into your pitch if you want to, like, oh, this particular thing that I'm pitching you worked well for this other brand that's in kind of an adjacent category. For sure, that could work. But like really what's most important is like in your pitch, help the brand understand like how you are going to help them achieve this like business objective that they're working on, right? Make it all about that. That's like the number one piece of advice that I can always give is like, do not make the pitch about you. This is the number one thing that creators do is they say, hey, I am Justin and I have this many followers on social media and these are my audience demographics and this is, who I'm serving in my audience and yada, yada, yada. It's like, hey, I would love to collaborate with you. Like that's the pitch they get all day long. Okay. And I am on this mission here. I show up every single week, you guys, to drill this into your head is that should not be your pitches. Your pitches are about the brand. It's not about you. So do even an ounce of research. I made a tweet recently about like 10 minutes of research. That's all it takes to differentiate yourself from the hundreds of other creators who are vying for a brand's attention. So case studies can be helpful, but I would use that up your sleeve, kind of as an ace up your sleeve, to kind of reapproach the brand when you're trying to pivot or pitch something else or get on their, get on their radar. But, again, it should be about the brand that you're pitching for the initial pitch. Okay. So let me know if that's helpful, Ashton Home. Brianna says, or Bree says, I was asked to provide a screenshot of my views by a brand that wanted me to create a reel for them. So I added it to my media kit because it was over 3 million. So you mean like over a 30-day period or total? Because I mean, what most brands will care about is more like what are your, they want to see like what was your impressions or your performance over the last 14 days, over the last 30 days, because they want to understand like if they were to hire you on a campaign, what are the a conservative assumption of like the views that they're going to get or the impressions or the performance that they're going to get if they were to hire you. Because it's very difficult. Like it actually can be a little bit misleading, because if you give them a screenshot of like, oh, this was my views for the last like 30 days or whatever, you could have had one piece of content that had outsized performance relative to everything else. So if you had a reel that did 50,000 views or something, but most of your reels do 3,000, right? Like that's something that is like, I actually have a pricing calculator that my creators who are part of my course have access to, and that's a piece of advice that I give. When you're entering your average numbers into the calculator, you have to exclude your viral videos or your outsized performance videos, because that's not a accurate, that's going to skew your average way up, right? You need a median, not an average. Basically, you need a median, not an average. So you really want to ensure that, if brands are actually, that's why sometimes they'll ask you like, oh, like screenshot your last, not just like your total views or average views for the last 30 days. It's like, oh, like just show a screenshot of like, go to your post history, go to your stories history or whatever, so we can actually see like individual pieces of content and how they performed. So Ashton Home said, yes, thank you. That was helpful about, about like framing the pitch, about case studies. I would love to learn more about the type of research you do or specific things that you look for before you pitch. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. I mean, like, brands leave so many breadcrumbs on social media, like that will help inform like what you can like pitch to them. So for example, like go on their Instagram, see, what type of campaigns are they running currently? Go to their website. Is their stock, I talked about this in a video recently on my YouTube channel, like, is their stock price way up or is it way down? Like, are they facing headwinds from competitors? Are they, do they have a very large marketing team, or is it one person, right? Can you offload stuff off their plate to help make their life easier? Go on their LinkedIn, see how big their marketing team is. Are they in the news? Right? Are they like, facing stiff competition from, this direct to consumer brand or whatever? So it's like very easy stuff to research. You're Googling, the brand name and trying to understand how they're performing. Are they shifting, are they, creating a major e-commerce presence when they were previously in just brick and mortar locations? Or it's like, it's all this like very intuitive stuff that you just don't really think about. But it's like all of that stuff that there are reasons why brands are running marketing campaigns, because they're, internally they've identified some strategy that it's just like, oh yeah, like, we need to take back market share from this other brand, or we need to like do a full court press on having a mobile app, or we need to do, I don't know what it is. It's like for every brand, it's different, but you can ascertain, reasonably like what their strategies are based on the marketing campaigns that they're trying to run. So as a creator, if you illustrate to them that you've done even a little bit of research into this type of thing and you're kind of knowledgeable, like, oh, I saw in the news that you're now being carried in Walmart, or I saw that you're now doing this like grocery pickup thing, or like, you're working with DoorDash or whatever, like, don't you think that makes you seem instantly differentiated from any other creator they've ever talked to? Right? So, like it's very easy. Like, it's not complicated. Just like go and do a little bit of research about this brand, and it's going to help you tremendously stand out. Right? So Ashton Holmes said, yeah, so many great tips. Thank you. Of course, of course. Bree says, always so resourceful. Yes, thank you. Of course. We got Ed from D Ward Cooks in the chat. Natalie, Kin's Simple Closet, thanks for tuning in. Empress Rose. When we got the IG chat popping off today. Tom is saying, never been here. What do you normally do? On TikTok, Marley Hayes joined. I help creators find and negotiate their dream sponsorship so that they stop leaving thousands on the table. You see how that rolled off my tongue, guys? That is my niche. I actually did a TikTok about that recently, where people were like, well, how did you pick your niche? And what I talked about was that, like, that was not my niche initially. I was helping creators understand the business of being a creator, which seems like it's similar, but it's not. It's very different. And so, that there's a lot of power. Like, someone who's tuning in who has no idea who I am, tuning in on TikTok. Hey, what do you do? What's your elevator pitch? Let me know in the chat if you've got, if you've got a, your elevator pitch or your niche, dialed in, let me know in the chat, because I would love to chat about that. Natalie Doef in the chat said, do you have any tips when it comes to dealing with contracts? They're so scary and intimidating. Yeah, Natalie, great question. So I do have like some resources in my course all about this, but like just some high level stuff. Like one of the most important things that, like, if there's one clause in particular that you should pay attention to, it's the deliverables, or the use, or the it's sometimes called services, statement of work, that type of thing, because you always have to make sure that whatever you've agreed to in your, verbally, on a Zoom call with the brand or via email, you have to make sure that that is represented in the agreement, because, there have been situations that I've seen where, some shady brands have added additional stuff into the deliverables, or, sometimes it's not malicious. Sometimes they're just, they're working with a bunch of creators, and, these other creators were doing additional posts, more posts than you negotiated, right? And so they forgot to remove that from the contract. So the onus is on you to actually flag that and remove that and redline that, essentially, right? There's a whole host of other things. In the beginning, I know it can be very intimidating, especially this deal size is not very big. I can't, I don't think I should hire a lawyer for this, because the amount of money that they're going to charge me to actually look at this is going to be more than the deal is worth itself. So I'm going to be losing out. And my advice for you is do it anyway. Yeah, you may lose, you may come out break even, but now you have this insights from this lawyer that you've talked to that you can use to inform future contracts that you receive. Right. So yeah, maybe you don't hire a lawyer on every single deal. You may not be able to afford it, but maybe this exercise of hiring a lawyer for this first deal, you treat it as a learning exercise. And now they'd be like, hey, I looked through this, and here's the red lines that I would advise. I don't think you should do this. Usage rights, exclusivity. Again, I have some resources in my course that kind of go through all the different clauses that you should look at. But I do think it is a very good investment when you're at the outset of your influencer career to hire a lawyer to start familiarizing yourself with what are the things that they look for. And because here's the deal, I have by now definitely seen over 1,000 sponsorship contracts. I've done so many of them, both personally for my wife and the deals that we do, but also for my influencer agency. So I've issued lots of contracts as well. And so they start to look very similar the more you do this, right? And so I think it's a really critical exercise for you to invest in your knowledge and invest in professionals who can help you get familiar with this type of thing. I just have never understood why creators are just hesitant to invest in a lawyer, for example, because it's yeah, maybe you're going to break even on a particular deal, or maybe you don't even have a deal. Maybe this is something that you invest in. I think this is a huge and valuable investment to go out and hire a lawyer to create a standard contract template for you that you can use if a brand doesn't have one. If their brand is just trying to say oh yeah, let's just use the DMs or this email thread as proof of our partnership. No, you need to have a contract. Here's my contract that you send to the brand, right? And so all you're doing, you get to hire this lawyer to create a contract template for you, and then all you're doing is edit the the appendix at the end, where it's here's the deliverables, here's the usage rights, here's the term, and all you do is just punch in the highlighted fields that the lawyer says, hey, here's what you do. Right. So it's a huge investment. It's a huge and worthwhile investment for you at the outset of your creator career. Bree said Creator Wizard course is worth it. Take his course if you're serious about making money on social media. Bree, I appreciate that so much. Come on. Thank you. D Ward Cook says, Ed says, my niche, approachable, family-friendly, healthy-ish recipes. Okay, Ed, I'm going to challenge you to add "so that" to the end of it. My niche is I help you cook approachable, family-friendly, healthy-ish recipes so that you can enjoy more family time, or so that you can get back to playing board games with your family. I'm making stuff up, but what is the transformation that you're going to help them accomplish, Ed? Yeah, obviously your recipes are good, but why do they care about your recipes? Oh, they're going to follow you, Ed, because they're going to be wow, Ed's going to help me not only cook these dishes, but reclaim time for myself so I can have me time or self-care or whatever. Not only will more people want to follow you because you're helping them do that, Ed, but brands realize that all the people in your audience are all people who are wanting to achieve that outcome. Brands are all these food brands, all these consumer packaged goods brands that I'm sure you want to work with, Ed, and that you are working with, have this type of thing in their mindset too, is that they help busy families accomplish some sort of thing, right? Like Rice-A-Roni or, Kraft macaroni and cheese, like all the messaging that you see on social media or on broadcast TV and print ads and things like that, they all talk about the benefits of what Kraft helps your family do. It's not just Kraft macaroni and cheese is delicious. It's no, Kraft macaroni and cheese, helps your, is delicious for your kids so that they're happier or something. It's so that is the most critical thing. I teach that in one of my other courses called Gifted to Paid. It's called your STP. What is your surprising transformative promise? So, yeah, let me know if that is helpful, Ed, if you've ever thought about your niche in that way. Natalie says, thanks for your wisdom. Of course, I'm happy to help. Let's see here. Let me scroll back up here to see if we got any other questions. Ashley says, every time I've researched brands and their current campaigns the way Justin has taught me, I hear back from the brands immediately. Ashley's an alum from my course. So that makes me so happy to hear that, Ashley. I love that. That's incredible. See, it works, guys. I'm not just making stuff up here. I've been doing this a very long time. Here's the other interesting insight to that, which is that this whole thing about researching brands, I have a very different perspective than most other creators because I have had to do this research on the other side of it, running an agency, because the agency business and the agency model is very different. Because what I'm actually trying to convince the brand is not, hey, don't just work with my wife and I. I have an agency where I can help you access hundreds of other creators. Any creator you want who is family friendly, we're your agency for that. And so the pitch that we're giving them is not like, oh, I'm going to talk about you on my YouTube channel. No, it's much more strategic than that. It's like, hey, I understand that you were trying to tap into this market. You're trying to break into this. Like, I can help you develop a holistic strategy. I'm going to help you identify 20 influencers that can all help serve this, help you solve this problem that you're trying to accomplish. And so it's a much more broader, it's like a 30,000 foot view instead of like a 3,000 foot view. Right. And so I had to get very good at convincing brands of the strategy side of it. And so that's how I did it. I did all this research. I helped understand, what are the headwinds, all this stuff I just mentioned. Right. And so that's why I love teaching this to individual creators, because the same thing can be accomplished. You can pitch the brands on the same thing and take this mindset that I have used for the agency into your own pitches for brands, and it's going to work in exactly the same way. It's just on kind of a smaller scale, but that's okay, right? Because you're just trying to pitch for yourself, right? And so that same mindset, like Ashley said, every time I've researched the brand, let me just pull this up here to highlight this. Let me pull this up here to highlight this. Ashley says, every time I've researched brands and their current campaigns the way Justin has taught me, I hear back from the brands immediately. So here's a testimonial that is like proof of that. Okay. Stag Fitness said, yes, the best investment I've made so far is Justin's course with D and Fam support. Incredible. For those of you guys who don't know, Dee runs all of the office hours for the course. She's incredible. I'm not even there. Dee is amazing. And so it's so awesome to hear you say that Dee's support is so helpful for you as well, Stephen. And one of the things I love the most about Stephen and our interaction. Stephen, when did we first talk? Like we have been talking. You've like shown some interest in the course for months. Like I think maybe the first time we talked was like a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago. It was a long time ago. And so it was like, that's one of my favorite examples of like continuing to show up as a creator, is because when Stephen and I first talked, he wasn't quite ready for the course yet. Right. And so I, as a creator, continued to, pump out content, continued to serve other creators, continued to, follow up with Stephen, for every time the course enrollment was opening, I would follow up and be like, hey, just want to let you know the course is opening again. So it's like, you have to have this long-term mindset. And ultimately the result of that was that he eventually enrolled, after 9 months or whatever. Right. So it's like, if you constantly have this like short-term mindset when you're pitching brands and you're like, oh, it's gotta be now. Like I'm reaching out the brand right now. They gotta like, forge a deal with me right now. And if they don't, it's a failure. Like, no, like you have to have a very long-term mindset when it comes to this type of thing. Because at the time that you are actually reaching out to the brand, they're just not ready. They're just not ready to buy from you. They're not ready to like work with you and hire you for this, campaign that they're working on, because inevitably what happens, Blevin Dusketh tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Connie Google Queen, thanks for tuning in on TikTok. Blended Beauty on IG. Sweet Melly Bakery, what's up, guys? Because inevitably they're just not ready when you're reaching out. I teach this in my course, and it's something I hammer on over and over and over, which is that do not be disappointed when you reach out to a brand and you pitch them and they say, hey, we're doing any paid campaigns right now. Because that is a win. You are now on their radar, and now your job is to nurture them so that you are top of mind for the next time they are running a paid campaign. Because, most brands, the majority of brands, are not running what's called always on influencer activations. They're not working with influencers every single month. Most brands, some are, but most aren't. Most of them will be like, okay, we've baked out our marketing budget for the entire year, or for the next 2 quarters, we're going to allocate $100,000 to doing 2 influencer campaigns, in addition to all these other marketing strategies, right? Broadcast TV commercials, print, all this stuff. Yeah, we're going to work with influencers. That's going to be 100K of the 5 million we're spending or whatever, right? And so when you reach out on random Tuesday of, March 13th or whatever, oh, work with me on a paid campaign, they don't have a slush fund to pay you. Most brands, they have allocated their marketing dollars to this influencer campaign that they're going to run in May. And they're not ready to recruit influencers for that yet. But when they are ready to recruit influencers, who do you think they're going to remember? They're going to remember the influencer that reached out to them on March 13th and has followed up with them every 3 weeks, providing them value. Hey, here's this interesting news article I saw about TikTok. Hey, here's this other thing. Here's this other, interesting, partnership that I did that got these results. Exactly what Marcus just said. I like that. It's not a no, it's a not yet. I love that, Marcus. I'm going to screenshot that so I remember that. I should do a whole video about that, actually. It's not no, it's a not yet. That's a very succinct way to say this. Right? That could be the title of this video, actually, right? It's not no, it's not yet. I will put a caveat to that, though, which is that sometimes it will be a no. No matter how many times you pitch the brand, no matter how creative you are, sometimes a brand is just not, they're just not going to be interested in partnering with you. It's going to be sad, right? Maybe demoralizing, but that happens. And it's something that you need to get accustomed to. It's just going to happen. There's going to be brands that you aren't going to be able to convince to work with you. And that's just kind of the way it is sometimes. And you do develop a tougher skin doing this over a longer time period. For sure. But I'm not immune to that either. Like sometimes it's a bummer if there's like a awesome brand that I've always been wanting to work with and we pitch them and they say no, or they ghost us or whatever. I don't give up. But like sometimes they'll just, say we're not working with influencers right now. Again, it's not no. Sometimes it's not no. It's not yet. But sometimes they'll just straight up say, no, it's not something we're interested in at this time. And that's just the way it is. Renee said, oh, wait, how can we sign with your agency? Is it exclusive or can we also do deals on our own? Great question, Renee. So it is not exclusive. I do not, we've never in the history of Trending Family, we've never exclusively managed creators. It's always been the kind of thing where brands have hired us or other agencies have hired us to execute campaigns on their behalf. And so usually there's a very specific type of creator that we are reaching out to for a particular campaign. Like the brand will say, hey, we want to work with like moms in the Midwest of the United States, and they have to have kids between the ages of like 7 and 11 or something. It's like very specific. So we've never, as a result, it's always been like we reach out to creators who fit that criteria because they're very specific. So it's not really something that, again, we don't like really manage creators directly in that way. And so, so hopefully that clarifies that. Yeah. Simone says, love that, Marcus. Yes. I also love that. It's fantastic. Annika Rosa Perkish, thanks for tuning in on the IG chat. Blevinduskath said in the TikTok chat, most of the time, big brands don't know why they should invest in you yet. That's exactly right. And the onus is on you to convince them of why they should invest with you. It's not on the brand. So many creators they'll reach out, they'll pitch a brand, and then they'll be like, "Oh, would love to collaborate with you." You are now putting the onus on you're basically putting the ball in the brand's court and saying like, "Hey, think up some ideas of how we could work together." You've just added work to their plate. Why would they? No, you're not going to do that. It's your job to be like, "Hey, what about this? This. The chances of them like accepting that and saying, "Oh, sounds good, let's do it, here's some money," is unlikely, but that's not the point. The point is that you put something tangible on their plate so they can start to see why they would invest in you. They're like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it. We're not doing activations on that platform right now, but what about this?" Give them something to just react to. Right? It's Kevin the Burner said, "Preach, friend." Friend. I love that play on words. I'm a big fan of puns. Hey, Renee, she said, "Oh, so wait, how do you sign up for Trending Family?" Yeah, so there's a contact form on the Trending Family website, and you can just submit if you're interested in like being considered for upcoming campaigns. You can submit something there. There was a chat or a question that I think I missed. Let me pull it up here. Yeah. By the way, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat while I'm looking for this. Some other people were saying their niches. Marcus says mine is, "I help professionals engage their audience on stage and online so that," I'm adding "so that," Marcus. "I help professionals engage their audience on stage and online so that you can create a TED-worthy presence," or something, like a TED talk or something, or it's like, so you can be the largest, so that you have lasting impressions, so you create forever lasting impressions. I don't know, I suck at that, but add "so that" to the end of that, Marcus. That would be an interesting exercise. Renee says, "I promote vegan and living and promote vegan and cruelty-free products to educate people on the health and environmental benefits of veganism." Interesting. Again, like how are you going to add "so that" onto that, Renee? Like, what are you going to help them accomplish by education alone isn't going to make people want to follow you, or isn't that alone is going to want to make a vegan or cruelty-free brand want to partner with you. It's like, no, how are you bridging people through education so that they can live healthier lifestyles or something like that? I would encourage you to workshop that a little bit, because I think you have a lot of good meat there, but sorry, not meat. You have a lot of good stuff there to work with, and so I think it could be punchier a little bit. Gina B said, "I got a paid campaign from one of your emails and pitched to the brand and got the deal." Gina, can you shoot me an email or a DM and tell me like what happened with the deal? Because I always am so eager to hear this kind of thing, testimonials, or just like, like when you guys get deals, it's like, it makes my absolute day. It makes my whole week. That's the whole reason why I started the newsletter. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you're not on my newsletter, just go to creatorwizard.com/join and sign up for free. I send you paid brand opportunities every single week for free. You have no reason not to join. And so hearing you guys like get these deals, it just makes my day. So Gina, please let me know. I would love to hear it. Molly says, I help demystify energy healing so that you can sense and shift energy to heal on your own terms. Whoa! Molly, that is so much better than the first one you said. I think it was in the Gifted to Paid course or something like that. That is so powerful. If I read that as a potential follower or a potential brand that would want to partner with you, boom, I got goosebumps right there. Whoo! Incredible, Molly. Marcus says, definitely one of my favorite newsletters. Thank you, Marcus. Gina says, I definitely recommend it. Sign up, guys. The absolute best thing that you can do if you really do love the newsletter would just be to share it with a friend. Share it with another creator. It's easy. Share it on your IG stories. There are perks for sharing my newsletter with your creator friends, guys. There is a referral link in every single email every single newsletter. And if you just post it on your IG stories being like, hey guys, this is amazing newsletter. I get, paid sponsorship opportunities. Justin dispenses these gems on a weekly basis about pitching brands and all this stuff. If people sign up under your link, you get access to stuff. If you just refer one other creator to the newsletter, you get access to secret brand deal intel research that D and I do every single week. D actually spearheads it. And so we're researching 5 additional brands every single week. So we find people that are posting a sponsored post on social media, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, being like, oh, well, that brand is clearly working with influencers. And we go, okay, well, who's the likely person who's responsible for hiring that influencer on the campaign? What's their name? What's their LinkedIn URL? What's their email address? What are pitching angles? How can you actually pitch the brand something compelling that they'll read and want to work with you? All you need to do is refer one other creator to the newsletter to get access to it. And if you refer 5 people, you get $50 off the course. If you refer 15 people, you get a one-on-one call with me. The investment is $1,000 an hour for these calls, guys. So if you refer just 15 other creators, all it's going to take is posting on your IG stories, or posting in a private Facebook group that you're in, or posting in this private group DM that you have with other creators. Easy. Just post your referral link, okay? I love it. I'm so appreciative. Simone says, do we unlock only if the other person we share the newsletter with signs up? I've shared it, but not sure if the individual signed up. So it's still unlocked for me. Yes, Simone, they do have to sign up. Yeah. So it's still locked for you. Yeah. So they do have to sign up for the newsletter. That's kind of how you get that to be unlocked. Yeah. Ashley said, wait, one-on-one call? Excuse me. I've never heard this before. I can get 15 people today. Okay, Ashley, boom. Here we go. Post it on the IG stories. There we go. Yeah. You get a one-on-one call with just 15 creator referrals, y'all. Marcus says, I got the following response from an agency who thought my rates were too high. No client will probably agree to pay more than the product revenue over 2 months in their most important sales channel for a single video. Well, that is what I call some good old-fashioned gaslighting, Marcus. That brand is telling you, well, the gall of you to ask us to pay this amount of money. No brand is ever going to pay you that. That's called gaslighting. That's trying to get them to agree to either do it for free or do it for a heavily discounted amount because they find it insulting. Unless I'm misinterpreting what they're saying there, that's a pretty insulting thing to me. And the suggested response that I would say to a response like that is, you could potentially try to salvage that and pivot and shift this conversation to the other reasons that you're providing value to them, right? High quality content. They're aligning with someone in your specific niche who has, credibility to talk about these products. You could potentially offer them paid media rights, other things that they could potentially value. But again, if they're saying these types of things to you, who knows if they're going to value stuff like that? And so I'm just not so sure that a brand like that is going to value what you're bringing to the table, and potentially just move on. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of how I would. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan at all of brands who gaslight creators, because I don't know. That doesn't sit well with me. It's one thing to say oh, we don't have a budget for that, but for them to be like, no client is ever going to pay you for that. Oh, really? Every other brand out there, another brand that, is going to come to me and find value in me creating shoppable videos on Amazon, or 30-second videos that they could run on YouTube, or, run as paid ads on the Facebook newsfeed or something. Really? The brand's not going to pay me for that? Yeah, maybe because you don't value that, but this brand over here does. So don't let them gaslight you, Marcus, okay? Renee says, everyone is going to start talking like you in the industry. And then how will we be set apart? Like every creator is going to take your course, or at least they should. I appreciate that. Renee, I'm making my small dent here in the industry as best I can. But believe me, there's lots and lots of creators out there. So if I could even achieve a move the needle even in a small meaningful way, it's not even going to like be a drop in the bucket of all the creators out there. So I don't think you have anything to worry about with respect to that, right? Fernanda says, how do you keep your cool when brands say insulting things like that? That's where I struggle. Yeah, it's a it's definitely something that a thick skin that I've developed, we've developed over the years. I think that it's something I actually talk about in my courses and things like that, is this idea of something called a BATNA, a best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And this is a negotiation concept where and by the way, Fernanda, I would really recommend that you watch the replay to week 2 of the course, because you're an alumni, so you have access to that. Because I actually introduce a lot of new concepts about negotiation and how to think about this. Is that when you have what's called a strong BATNA, or a strong best alternative to a negotiated agreement, that means that you can basically kind of take it or leave it. You can take this deal or leave it. And so it helps a lot with the kind of mental struggle of like people being mean to you or saying mean stuff. Is like, you can basically just take it or leave it. Like, I don't need this deal. I don't need to be abused like this verbally from this brand. And so it's just kind of like, peace, see you later. Right. I'm not going to take this from you. Right. And so that concept of like having these other brand partners, other income streams, other things that you're doing in your business that allow you to kind of walk away from these partnerships, help you feel empowered to not take it so personally, because you're just like, you're going to be like, okay, well, if this brand doesn't see the value that I'm bringing to the table, that's their loss, basically. Right. For Ashley says, haha, Fernanda, that's because you have the same temper I do. D is so good at keeping her cool. Yeah. Renee says, you punch the wall and then you write a nice reply and flip the script. Yeah. I love that, Renee. Exactly. D says, I try not to take it too personally. Marcus says, right, I do stand up comedy. So in my case, I have a very thick skin for things like this. So that's the solution right there, everyone. Just start doing stand-up comedy like Marcus. Marcus, do you have any like videos of your stand-up, some stand-up sets that you've done? I want to watch. I didn't know you did stand-up comedy. That's amazing. I freaking love that. D says, I remind myself that I can walk away and be fine. Right? Yeah, and D says, having a network of other creators that get it helps you to unload when you need it though. Right? Exactly. We got Daniel Agachi in the IG chat, Jeanette, Nicole Bennett. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. In the TikTok chat, Blevin Duff said, values need to be talked about often. Otherwise, you're just another creator with no qualities. You're speaking my language here. Exactly. Kim and Waneri says, question, how much to charge with large range for views? Example, 30,000 to 4.1 million in the past 10 videos. Yeah, that's really tough. And so one thing I was talking about earlier in the chat is that when you are calculating your averages, and if you're basing it off of your average views, you do want to exclude those outlier videos, like videos that have gone viral. First of all, congratulations. That's awesome. But you're going to want to go with your average. So it's like, okay, if on average you're doing 30 to 50,000 views per average, that's the one that you're going to want to go with, because again, the brands, what the heck? My IG chat just died. That was weird. Because at the end of the day, any brand who is going to hire you is going to want to see, with a reasonable assumption, like if they were to hire you, like how many views you'd likely get on that TikTok. So that would be something to consider when you're kind of making your calculations. Yuri Boyka Official said, hi, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, man or lady. Sorry, I don't know. I can't tell. I think you're a guy. Caitlin, KK Michelle Beauty. Okay. KK Michelle Beauty has one of my favorite, she filmed one of my favorite testimonials of all time for my course. So Caitlin, I'm so appreciative of that testimonial she filmed. She said that before taking my course, she was making anywhere between $1,400 and $2,000 a month. And after my course, she's making $40,000 to $50,000 a month. I'm not sure if I'll ever get a better testimonial than that. That was incredible. So thank you so much for that testimonial, Caitlin. I appreciate that so much. And congratulations on getting married. I saw your pictures on, I think it was on IG. Incredible. So glad that you had such an awesome time there. Dee said, that's so true. I feel so much better when I walk away instead of accepting something I don't feel comfortable with. Absolutely. Like you're going to sleep much more soundly. I had a meme on Instagram. I wish I could find it or pull it up. Where, you're like sleeping soundly on your pillow when you like walk away from a brand's lowball offer. Right? Because that's how you're going to feel. I think I missed a question. Caitlin said, thank you. I wouldn't have been able to have this dream trip without you. You earned it. You earned it. Honestly, I'm so stoked to hear that. There was another question. Mystic Makeup said, I've been watching your videos and reading your newsletters. You're so informative. Usually when you get rejected, there is always a possibility for a better sponsorship. That's exactly right. The grass can be greener. Fernanda says, it doesn't make me mad for myself. I can walk away and be fine, but it makes me mad for the consumers. It makes me want to tell everyone that they don't put their money where their marketing is. I hear that. Yeah, I can hear that. That can be super frustrating. Marcus says, is there an opportunity to use that style of testimonial for a brand too? Like, after working with me, this brand increased their sales by X. Yes, Marcus, of course. Create those testimonials for yourself. Create those case studies for yourself. 100%. You can absolutely do that. Why can't you? Ask the brand if they can share that data. Simone says, Justin has the best energy. Simone, thank you. But I like, candidly, I feel so drained right now. I need to fill my cup back up, literally, like my energy cup, because the last like 2 months have been an absolute blur. Preparing to launch the course, teaching the course, doing a zillion side projects on, with everything, adding so much more like new material to the course, prepping for a future course, a gifted to paid course that I'm going to be launching. My cup has been drained, guys, and just so much going on in the world, like with geopolitical stuff going on. That's been very heavy on my heart. There's just been so much stuff in my head lately. And I feel very drained. So the fact that you don't think I sound drained, I appreciate that very much. I'm trying to bring the energy for you guys and I'm feeding off you. Renee says, where are these testimonials hosted that you get from a brand? Yeah, put that in your media kit. Create individual case studies. We're going to talk all about this in next week, Renee, actually. So you're in store for some great stuff. So you can host that. Yeah. So again, you can have it in your media kit, but you can also have individual, just like single page PDF kind of things where you can send them to brands that you think would be, be helpful for them. Totally. Ashley said, you better go make April some lunch and not be too tired. I'm actually going out to lunch with my dad today. I'm excited about that. So we're going to go have some Korean food, I think. Marcus says, now that I think of it, asking them for their sales data may increase your credibility and become more of a trusted business partner, not just a video creator. Exactly. Yeah. So, there was one other thing. Oh, yes. I wanted to share some really, really cool and exciting news, guys. I made a very major investment in my creator business this morning. I hired a copywriter to do the entire sales page for gifted to paid. I was waffling between two different packages. That it was the soup to nuts, like entire package, which was $17,000, and having her just do the sales page, which was just $7,500. So I bit the bullet and I am investing in a copywriter, a professional copywriter, to do the sales page for my gifted to paid course. This is something that I'm going to be launching like in a few months. But I decided that I'm really going to start investing. I probably will invest in probably her as well to overhaul the Brand Deal Wizard sales page eventually. And, cause so the whole like big giant package where, she does everything is like the sales page. It's all of the emails, all the sales emails. If I were to do a webinar, for like a lot of times course creators will have webinars that you join the webinar, you learn more about the course, and then you can enroll after the webinar. So there's like a whole webinar email flow, inviting people to the webinar, helping people understand why they should attend the webinar. And then there's like a post webinar sequence where, you'd be like, hey, if you missed the replay, here's the replay, reiterating the value of the course and all this stuff. So it's like a lot of stuff. I'm happy to share, her name is Purna. And she's, from this, her site is Content Bistro, contentbistro.com. She has worked with some major course creators, like the testimonials so she's worked with like Vanessa Lau. She's done all of Vanessa Lau's stuff. She's worked with some other creator. Like she just helped a course creator do like a $700,000 launch. It's like crazy. She works with like really big people. And so I first heard about her through Vanessa Lau, and I was like, I need to follow this person. And so I have hired her subsequently. I've hired her multiple times for 1 hour consulting calls. And it's incredible. The amount of value that I get after just like an hour and a half call from working with Purna and her husband, is just off the charts insane. And so I knew eventually I was going to hire her. So I'm glad I pulled the trigger, but I ultimately decided just to do the sales page, because she does all this research too. That's the other incredible thing, is she will like understand really deeply about who my customers are and, the types of creators that I'm looking to attract for the course. And, there's just like so much, it's like pretty mind blowing. And so she's really, she's really, truly. I need to actually, I'm sending you this live so you can like, stuff, but I'm going to do it. I need to do a testimonial just and Fernanda said, copywriters are such good investments. I've been considering a copywriting course too, because I see the return. Yes, Fernanda. Yes, I actually interviewed Purna on my YouTube channel. If you want to like listen to the gems of how incredible she is, I have a whole video on my YouTube channel about how creators can utilize the philosophy of and the psychology of copywriting for your creations that you make on social media. It's not just for course creators. It's an amazing skill. Brianna says, Justin, how is gifted to paid different from Brand Deal Wizard? So gifted to paid Brand Deal Wizard, it was always the intention that it was for creators who are kind of a little bit more advanced into their career as creators. So they've done a few brand partnerships at least, and they're looking to kind of take that to the next level, be more strategic with their negotiation strategies. Be more intentional with their negotiation strategies, understand pricing, negotiation, psychology, all that kind of thing. Gifted to paid is geared specifically for creators who are at the outset of their journey. They are either just starting out, they are kind of beginner, maybe they're aspirational creators, maybe you don't even have a social media platform yet, and you're trying to understand, maybe the point is that you are getting potentially free product offers. So brands are actually reaching out to you, hey, we'll give you our free product, you post about it, right? But you're actually trying to figure out, how do I convert those free products into paid partnerships? And so that course is geared specifically to that this issue of like, how do you get over the hump and start getting people to convince brands to like actually pay you? And so that's specifically geared towards that type of creator. And so I wanted to create a course that was, because honestly, like if you don't have a social media platform yet, if you haven't really worked with brands at all, Brand Deal Wizard is going to be like a fire hose, right? And so I'm like very aware of that. And so I wanted to like make something that was geared just towards that. Ashley said, Justin, you are super busy, but I have a new course idea for you. I know a small group of creators who are blowing up in a very short time. They're blowing up so fast and they haven't even done gifted yet, but their numbers are so big, they really don't even know where to start. So what's the course idea, Ashley? So it's like, I like help them understand how to navigate all this stuff. Let me know. I'm curious what that would be. Maybe I could do like a workshop or something. Molly says, I have done both courses and feel that gifted to paid was a fantastic prerequisite to Brand Deal Wizard. Interesting to hear you say that, Molly, because I may or may not be potentially suggesting the same thing when gifted to paid actually launches. If there are creators who want to do both, there may or may not be some bundles the next time we launched Brand Deal Wizard. Interesting. Reading my mind over there, Molly. I appreciate you saying that so much. Let me, I love, you guys like give me like the best, like, and most like heartfelt, like props. And I appreciate that so much. There was one other thing that someone said that I think I missed. Hold on. Oh yeah, Brianna says, "Oh cool, thanks so much. Brand Deal Wizard has been a game changer for me. I never want it to end. What's next?" Well, Brianna, stay tuned for that as well, because Dee and I have some exciting things to announce, potentially for ongoing support, maybe a membership, that type of thing, after Brand Deal Wizard ends. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that next week. But anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I had, real quickly, Ashley said, yes, a workshop would be great. They asked me so many questions, and you're so busy now. I don't want them to DM you about they're getting tens of thousands of views and have brands reaching out. That is interesting, Ashley. And they're so scared they just ignore them. Holy cow, that's so hilarious. Wow, they're so scared they just ignore them. One other thing that I'm considering, I think I mentioned this maybe last week, is that I am actually considering allowing evergreen access to Brand Deal Wizard if creators who aren't quite yet ready to wait, or aren't like able to wait for the next cohort. The next cohort's going to be like in the June timeframe, but they do want to, they find value in the replays. They're like, oh, I actually want to just get access, because like so many people who joined Brand Deal Wizard this cohort binged all of the replays from the past cohort within a couple days, and I was just like, what? Like, seriously, you did that? I really didn't anticipate that. And so it's given me the idea that like maybe it's going to be a lower price tier, a lower investment tier. Like if you just want to watch the replays, you can get in anytime during the year, and you get into the community. That's totally cool. But if you want to wait for the live cohort, which I think is really where the magic is at, but if you want to wait, you can totally do that. The investment is going to double next time. Actually, it's going to be 2,000. And so, but maybe the investment stays the same for if you just want the replays and access to the community and things like that. So thinking through that stuff. And so maybe, Ashley, maybe that's something that would be interesting to those friends. Is like, maybe they don't want to wait. They need some help. They just want to watch it on demand initially. And Natalie says, yes, I love that idea. I definitely watch. Awesome. So glad to hear that, Natalie. Well, I guess I need to like make this happen then. And Susie said, yes, replays are perfect for me. Yeah. So that's the other thing, is like, not everyone is like either wants to do a live course or has the time. They're super busy. Their schedule is just too difficult. So allowing like, people who want to just enroll and watch the replays, like I probably should do that. Right. And so that's probably something I'm going to think about doing. Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in every Friday. Those of you guys, there's some of you who tune in every single Friday. And it just means the world to me. So thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you don't get hit with too much snow. I know I was watching the news yesterday and saw that there's this like giant, like crazy winter storm about to hit a lot of the world. So anyways, thank you again. And I will see you next Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And go out there, get some more brand deals, y'all. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.